Shalom, friends of Israel. I am Lizerbram, National President of Jewish National Fund USA. Thank you for joining us on our daily briefings. As a reminder, this week we will only meet through Wednesday, November 22nd. Today we welcome Dr. Nachman Shai, Israeli journalist and former member of Knesset. Prior to his time in the Knesset, Dr. Nachman held diverse positions in the military, media, and the diplomatic and public arenas. In the Knesset, Dr. Nachman served as the Minister of Diaspora Affairs. He's a great friend of JNF-USA, appearing on our Israel Cast podcast. And most recently, he joined us at the JNF House in New York on Friday, October 6th, to mark the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. And as we all realize now, it was mere hours before the tragic massacre of October 7th began unfolding in the morning hours of Israel. Dr. Nachman, thank you for joining us today, and over to you.
Thank you so very, very much. Let me tell you that I still remember vividly my meeting with some of JNF people in New York. Was it six weeks ago, the morning, when I explained to everyone in the room how it will be impossible to surprise Israel. I'm so ashamed of what I told them. I was so clear by explaining to everyone that Israel has made everything necessary that what happened almost 50 years ago will never happen again. It did 12 hours later. So I was not the one to be the last to be the only one to be surprised that day, but in generally we'll have to look at that after the war itself and for a long time in order to figure out what went wrong. And that's going to be a long investigation, not a simple one. But at this stage, I'd like to focus, as there was requested, on the situation on the field right now, for over 40 days after the war broke out. In general, it deteriorates from one day to another, and mainly now in the north with Hezbollah. One thing hasn't happened yet. Israel hasn't crossed into Lebanon. We know very well from at least two past wars, in 1982 and in 2006, how difficult it is to fight within Lebanon on the ground, but it may come. The Hezbollah doesn't stop for a minute, day and night, to attack Israel. Again, it's very similar to the situation in the south. It's not that Israel was looking for a war. This is a war and totally and fully initiated by Hezbollah, from our perspective for no reason. But this is part of the war imposed upon us by Iran through their proxies all over the Middle East. Hezbollah has successfully sent a few drones into our territory. This is the new weapon that we see here widely used in this war, south and north. By the way, Hezbollah is much better equipped with all kinds of weapons than Hamas. Drones is only one of them. Long-range missiles, much more accurate, and so on. They hit one of our division headquarters in the north today, causing a lot of damage, and some of the settlements along the border. They continue to fire rockets into Israel and anti-tank missiles wherever they can. No civilians along the border. All of them were evacuated. but the tense is high. And as I said before, the last word hasn't been said already, just the opposite. It seems like it will go worse and worse. And I guess that sooner or later you see the Air Force, which is now leading the Israeli operations in Lebanon, striking deep Lebanon, not only in the border areas. That will come because it's unacceptable for a sovereign state to let any enemy to freely attack our territory without a proper response. They lost over 100 of their people so far. That's a lot, but not enough. And they will have to pay heavily to what they have done or they have been doing time and again, day and night, no stop. Back to the south. In the south, you know, there are 3 armored divisions within Gaza. Major military machine, which is now operating mainly in the northern part of Gaza and some in the center as well. We are not getting yet to the southern part. One of the reasons is that around 2 million Gazans are now concentrated in the south. We actually ordered them to go south, and that's where they are now. So it's not really so simple. But once we know where the leaders of the Hamas are, and if they are hiding in the south or in the center, we'll reach them where they are. There's no doubt about that, especially the 2 most important ones, Muhammad Def and Ahmad Sanwar. These are the leaders, the military and the political ones, and they are the major targets of our forces. We continue to look for the underground facilities of the Hamas. After Shifa hospital, we moved to the Indonesian hospital. As you know, from the beginning, hospitals were on one of the major targets of the operation because we knew that under those hospitals or in their vicinity, there are quite a number of hidden headquarters and depots of weapons and so on, all of them underground, nothing on the ground. We found some of that around Shifa. We haven't found what we were looking for, the major headquarters of Hamas. It may be there, but it will take time, and it's not a simple matter to freely activate, to run into within the hospital. Most of the hospital, by the way, is now empty. Today, we let 30 babies, premature babies, to be evacuated to Egypt. And we are searching everywhere we can, interrogating the staff and looking for the key we know for sure now that they've been using Shifa. We have provided with some evidence yesterday of bringing 2 of the hostages into the hospital, going through the hospital, but we still have to come up with much more information about what was going in Shifa and in other hospitals. It's not a simple operation. I'd like you to know that. It's not a quick one. We are very careful. The number of our fallen soldiers is growing every day. There's no average. I wouldn't tell you average. It's not a stock market. It's human life. But we are also having casualties. Urban warfare is one of the most complicated ones. You cannot move freely in urban areas, and you know that in any given moment there can be a hand grenade being thrown on you, or sniper, or all kinds of activities by the enemy, which is waiting on the other side. But we are doing well in terms of taking more and more territories and cleaning the area and making sure that everything which belongs to the Hamas, everything, including, by the way, government buildings and so on, all of them will be exploded, destroyed, and removed. Everything. This is part of the main goal, which is to make sure that Hamas will not be able to come back. There'll be no infrastructure for any future operation. And that's why it takes a long time. It's not a matter of a day or a week. It will continue, and it will take weeks and even months to complete the operation, even months. Of course, the issue of the hostages is very high on our priority. As an observer, in a way, most of the time I give my commentary on television, so on. I'm not really involved in the government activities now. I would say that there was a switch of the operation goal, and now the return of the hostages is number one. So you can just imagine, it's like whatever, 240, a little bit less people, 236 people are running around by the Hamas. They are not together, probably. They were divided into small groups, somewhere, not in one location, in many locations, and 3 armored divisions, which comes up to around 1,000 tanks and armored vehicles, are searching for them with between 40 to 50,000 troops. Well, this is something. I haven't seen that in my life. And we have no clue where they are. I guess, or as much as we know, within a day, there'll be the beginning of an exchange of prisoners for hostages and ceasefire or pause in the fighting for a few days. At the beginning, it will include 50 of them. And then, again, I don't have the exact information. It's coming out in pieces from here and there, but it says that every additional day, another 10 of them will be released. Let's see if it works. We, on our side, will have to release women, Palestinian women from prison, terrorists, and young terrorists under 18. We have quite a number of them too. That will be released in return to the first 50. And then we see if it works for additional days and how many of the rest of the hostages will be released in this first kind of ceasefire. We don't call it ceasefire, but practically that's what it is, because the fire will be ceased by us, by them. Of course, they will take advantage. They should have no doubt to reorganize themselves, to plan for the next stages, something that they were not able to do under the military pressure of our forces. But we take this risk. We would like very much to see the hostages back. We would like to bring them back. It's an emotional experience that we are all going through. All the Israelis, I would say, demonstrations, marches, rallies all over the country, day and night, in the Knesset, out of the Knesset, in Tel Aviv, on the highway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Every day they are coming, and not only in Israel, but all around the globe. But by the way, today is the International Day of Children, okay? The International Day of Children, but none of the famous children organizations, the international ones, has anything to say about the very fact that the 40 Israeli kids from 3 years old, well, there's 9 months old, up to 18, are held hostages by the Hamas somewhere. It seems like a top secret. They're not supposed to say a word about that. That's also show a little bit about the hypocrisy of the world, as well as the denial that Israeli women were raped by the terrorists as well. There are quite a number of evidence, but international organizations prefer to say we haven't heard anything, we haven't seen anything. We are just doing our job wherever it is. As I said before, it's not only the north and the south; it's also east. Since the first day, Israeli forces are uprooting Hamas terror cells on the West Bank, in Gaza, in Judea and Samaria. It's not a minor operation any longer. Under the big shadow of Gaza, not much attention was given, but day and night, there are raids into Jenin and Nablus and other refugee camps. So actually anywhere on the West Bank, wherever Hamas has built its power, we know is very powerful on the West Bank. It's not just a myth. They were preparing for themselves for taking over the Palestinian Authority. And now over 1,000 of them were already arrested. Many of them were killed during those operations, and I hope it will bear fruits that in the future, Hamas will have difficulties to renew its activities on the West Bank. That is something that you have to be aware of. The next front is between us and the Houthis in Yemen. Most of the Israelis, and I don't know about you, have never heard about the Houthis. Yemen is so far from our borders and from our territory, but they are active. They send drones into Israel. They fire long-range ballistic missiles into Israel. Long run, it's almost 2,000 kilometers. It's really far away. And last but not least, they hijacked a vessel called the Galaxy Leader. They took over the Galaxy Leader, which is a cargo ship, yesterday morning. They just released a video showing how they landed on the ship from helicopter and took it over, and it should be somewhere in Yemen. I don't know where exactly. This is probably a violation of international law. There's no doubt about that. Again, it was done by Iran. There's no doubt whatsoever that all the proxies of Iran in the Middle East were given a certain permit or order to go forward. So it's Hamas, it's Hezbollah, Hamas on the West Bank, and now the Houthis from Yemen. This is a kind of an all-out war with Iran, but Iran itself keeping itself out of the picture. It's not directly, it's not involved, but practically the proxies they've been building carefully, but quite widely in the region, are now all directing their operations towards Israel. This is something that we haven't expected, I would say, but that's the way. This is the reality. I would like to stop here because I tried shortly, really in short, to cover all the fronts. You can see there's no shortage of them. I didn't mention anything about the home front. I didn't say anything about the economy. I didn't say anything about over 200,000 Israelis evacuees that were forced to leave their homes to temporarily houses or hotels or anywhere, running away from. There's not much safe places in Israel at this stage because the rockets from Lebanon can reach any target in Israel anyhow, but they are not on the border lines, and that makes their life a little bit safer. But of course, it's really not a simple matter for people to stay in hotels or in temporary housing for such a long time. But that's part of it. And of course, the economic burden, which we haven't had even general idea how to deal with when it's over. So before I turn to questions, would like to thank you very much to JNF. I know how hard you, those who are in this call or those who are not in this call, are working very hard day and night to help Israel. And I know JNF very well, and I would like to thank you very much on behalf of myself, of course, of many Israelis that know of you and appreciate very much what you're doing for Israel. So thank you very much.
So thank you,
and
Dr.
now
Shai.
yes.
We have time for one question. There's a lot that many questions came in, but I'm going to just read one. Are you hearing anything you can share about a coalition of Arab countries governing Gaza after the war concludes?
It's too early. I don't think that anyone is, first of all, no one is really volunteer. No one would like to volunteer to take over Gaza. This is the most miserable piece on earth that I know of. Over 2 million people without water, without air, without anything. This is the most miserable people and that you can imagine. That's why I would hope very much that Israel has no plans to stay in Gaza longer than few months, because we are not able to take upon ourselves to run the life of over 2 million people. We don't have the financial resources, and I'm telling you, it will be even worse than Lebanon at the time. And we were stuck in Lebanon between 1982 to 2000. And finally, we managed to withdraw from Lebanon. I really don't expect Israel to stay too long in Gaza. Who will take over? So the Americans, President Biden would like to see the Palestinian Authority getting into Gaza, into kind of renew their government there. Not simple. We are not very excited about the Palestinian Authority, but I hope very much that the Israeli government will not open a new front with the American administration. There is a limit to how many wars we can run at the same time. We will not be able to be here today without the American support in all levels, in all areas. But so we have to listen very, very carefully to what the Americans are telling us, that these are real friends now, especially President Biden and others in the US administration. I guess the Americans would like to organize a certain coalition of other Arab states, starting Saudi Arabia and others, Egypt, of course, Jordan, that will form a certain international force that will help the Palestinian Authority. But we are not there yet. No one is really ready for, first of all, to end the war. We are not ready to end the war. They have no doubt about it. We haven't reached the goals of the war. And unless those goals are being reached or achieved, we are not going to stop. That should be clear to everyone. And from that on, we'll see what will be the next stage. But currently, we are just focusing on the war, on destroying the Hamas facilities and infrastructure, and getting to the leaders that should be killed. There's no other alternative. They all should be killed, as it happened to bin Laden, as it happened to Saddam Hussein, as it happened to other terror leaders in the world history. There's only one place that they should go from where they are, which is right away to heaven. And that's it. And we'll meet them there in the future. But for the time being, Hamas will not be destroyed unless its leadership, the military, the political one, will be eliminated. That should be clear.
Well, thank you.
Anything else? I'm available. If not, I know you have a lot on your plate today.
Yeah, thanks again for making time for us, Doctor. Our next speaker is Yoel Zilberman.
Thank you, sir.
The CEO of Hashomer Hachadash, a Jewish National Fund USA supported social, educational, and Zionist organization devoted to supporting local farmers while forging strong bonds between their volunteers and all things Israel. Yoel has helped grow this organization to the largest volunteer movement in Israel, with over 100,000 participants each year. Yoel, we last spoke 4 weeks ago, and we know how busy Hashomer has been. Thank you so much for coming back to update us. Yoel? Yoel, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Good. So first I said thank you for that. And I'm apologizing that always I'm speaking when I'm in the car, driving from one place to another. I'll start with a very short story. just from the last few hours. I just met the deputy of the commanding general in the south. His name is Yossi Bachar, and he actually was fighting in Be'eri. He's from Be'eri, killed 15 terrorists from Hamas, and lost his mother. And when I met him in this meeting, I'm a head of a division right now in the reserve. And when we met and we spoke, you know, when in the end of the conversation about the missions and the army, etc., he told me, you remember that my son, Adav, he was in the second year of Adam V'Adama. It's the school that we established together with JNF-USA in Moshav Chatzeva, in the Arava Desert. And he said, you know, he just ended the course, became an officer in Golani. And he was fighting in Gaza, but when he was coming back home for 3 days, he said the first thing that he did, even though he had only 72 hours to be at home before he started his new position in Golani, he took his friends and they went to Be'eri to pick up together the avocado. And he said that this is what he learned in the school. So just something that met me today, you know, during the running from one place to another. So it's a circle that meets both of us together, you and us here in Israel. And so I'll say shortly, look, when we met 4 weeks ago, I think that we all was a lot more, I would say, confused. Of course, very, very sad for the tragedy that we went through. And I don't think that I can tell you about myself that my stomach is still pain all the time. You go with the feeling that at least you bring the last person from Gaza and the amount of friends that I lost, or friends of my colleagues and employees in the Shomer that their family members that are still kidnapped in Gaza in Hamas hands. I think that it's something that following the feeling of all of us, even though that this became a bit of our regular basis. And like Dr. Nachman Shai said before, it seems very much that we can find ourselves in a short term with a strong battle, a lot more hard and complicated in Lebanon. It seems that it can happen very, very short. But I will tell you that in the other side, you know, of the border, but also the other side of the situation, to see the force of Am Israel working from all over the place, like from the Israeli, society to our brothers and sisters in the United States or in France, not just, caring about Israel, but literally working for Israel. And you see the amount of thousands of people that come into Israel to see face to face what is going on here, to see the people and to help as much as possible. I can tell you that it's something that for me, it's giving the belief, the understanding that it's going to be hard. And you see every morning we wake up with another 2, 3, 4 people that we lost. But I can tell you that it gives me the clear understanding that we are going to win this big battle, and we don't have any other choice. And I think that it's clear to all of us that it's a battle for all of us and for our future. I will say about what happened in the fields in the last 4 weeks since we met last time. So I said that in the first week or two, there was a lot of confusion first of all over Israel, but secondly, it was almost impossible to get to the Gaza Strip, to the area of Gaza, to the kibbutzim and to the moshavim. And if you remember, a week or two after the war, thousands of Thai workers started to escape from Israel. And it was not by mistake. Hamas was appointed, the group of workers from Thailand, to make them understand that they must leave Israel. I can tell you that also there was a huge pressure from Iran directly on Thailand, telling them, listen, there are going to be a region, like the whole region are going to get into a fight with Israel. We're telling you, you must take your employees out of Israel. Take that, and take also the employees that was coming from Gaza and from the area of Judah and Samaria to work in Israel. And you find the food crisis that we are got into in Israel. And just when I spoke with the General Bachar, it was clear that if the farmers will not be able to come back to their fields, it's very, very clear that probably many of them will not come back. Besides if they will understand that they have their greenhouses that will keep themselves green, and they will have their vegetables and oranges, etc., to walk and to pick them up, and to understand that there's something that they can come back for their living and for their life mission, that was agriculture, because 70% of the agriculture that fed Israel came from here, from the West Negev. So we saw, okay, that if you are not creating a directly speed, a mission, bringing people to the field, okay, we will see them literally abandoning and moving from here. And there is a lot of conversations with people that saying we are not coming back, not to Sderot, not to our kibbutz, not to our moshav. And what we saw in the last months and a week, okay, above 40,000 volunteers that came. It's only the 40,000 people that we was writing, for the insurance. We are guessing that there is something like another 4,000 or 5,000 people that came, okay, that came through our volunteer that didn't sign up, okay, because the amount of people that come in every week, we get into weeks with 13,000, 14,000 people a week that come in to help to hundreds of farmers all over Israel, literally, but we are focusing pretty much on the area of the Western Negev and the border the border with Lebanon. So this is what we saw here in the last 4 weeks. I like the numbers that you see now, and that we put it to ourselves a goal to get to at least 60,000 volunteers. The number is not a KPI just to make us feel good. It's numbers that we took from the field, from the farmers. This is the farmers that's suffering mostly. That if we are not helping these specific farmers, okay, these specific farmers will leave their farms. And it's on the table. It's not like something that we're thinking or we are feeling that might happen. This is the conversation that we have with our coordinators all over the West Negev and some other areas all over Israel. And I want to say here that together with Talion, together with JNF-US, the support that we got from you, okay, this is what allowed us to bring the buses, the food, the security, the guides, the t-shirts. Some of the girls coming with the short t-shirts don't understand that they're going to pick up now the lemons and they are going to get scratches on their hands. So literally to give them the t-shirt to walk, and it's made that possible in the last few weeks. I will say something that I think it's important that all of us must understand, okay? We can lose here two main huge, let's say, infrastructures of Israel. First, it's the food security system of Israel. Israel today, mostly, not always, but most of the food of Israel, okay, grow up inside Israel, okay? When we see what's going on around the world, and we see the war in Ukraine that bring 70% of the wheat to Israel, there is no doubt that Israel must be self-depends on herself with our food security system. And on this momentum, we can lose it like in 5 to 10 years to fix it and to build it back again, at least. And this work can take another year or 2 or 3 years. We must get to understand it together. The second part, if we want to have these farmers that will go to live back in these borders, okay, so I think that it will be, this will be the most hard and complicated situation for us as a nation. If people won't feel safe to live here, okay, so again, this will be our biggest loss. So if you ask us, I think that we need to look together on the next 3 months, 6 months at least, understand that if we're not going to give this support to the farmers, and what you see here, it's already the JNF volunteers that are supposed to come, missions that coming from and together with JNF that are going to come to our farmers, to help them in the fields. We understand that we have a time of at least 6 months to make sure that they're holding strong the farmers and understanding that the world jury will not let them abandon 1 inch of land. Doesn't matter where they live. They must understand that we are supporting them, because it's not just an infrastructure for glasses. It's not just they are producing only the food for Israel. This is literally the small group, the small community that keeps and hold the land for our nation. And if they won't be here on the border with Gaza, okay, so our dreams can get a new phase that we don't want to get to. So this is where we are standing. I can tell you that it's super, it's challenging, because lots of our team, like me, serving in the reserve. So the amount of people that are joining voluntarily, almost working full time just to make it happen, it's something that make us understand that we will win. but it will happen just if we will work as one force together. So I want to say thank you to all of you, and בעזרת השם, נעשה ונצליח.
So, Yoel, thank you so much. Lauren and I will be joining you on the December 10th trip. And the response that we're getting for people that want to join these trips are overwhelming. So it's a great feeling, and we look forward to seeing you.
So we're waiting. Thank you so much.
As our JNF-USA volunteer missions begin in just a few weeks, we look forward to seeing everyone signing up and being there in person. While our hearts are in Israel, we remain active here in the U.S., speaking about the realities Israel is facing, the challenges we have here in the United States, and committing ourselves daily to action. This afternoon, a group of JNF-USA ambassadors, also known as donors, and professionals are attending an event at the United Nations with Mossab Hassan Yosef, the oldest son of Sheikh Hassan Yosef, a founding member of Hamas, as he shares his experience and knowledge of the terror organization that we are facing. Through JNF-USA's efforts, we've included representatives of the media, members of some of the largest university systems, and political representatives. In this cohort, we're grateful to our non-Jewish allies who will be attending and bear witness to the darkness we face. Following the event, the UN will screen the 45-minute unedited film pieced together by the IDF as taken from the Hamas terrorists' GoPro cameras on October 7th. Through all of this devastation and darkness, we must not forget our role as a light unto the nations. And with Hanukkah coming up, you can help us spread the light by lighting up your home with beautiful candles you can purchase from our shop. A portion of the proceeds of all candle sales go directly to benefit our work in Israel. Along with your box of candles, we will also send you a free JNF-USA blue box. Visit jnf.org/shopping for your candles and other Hanukkah gifts directly from Israel to support small business in the North and South. As a reminder, our resilience campaign can be found at jnf.org/support-Israel, where you can learn about the direct impact that your donor dollars are having. If you are able to work, join one of our weekly volunteer missions in Israel. Or if you have family and friends in Israel looking to volunteer, JNF-USA has turned our previous weekly day trips into a day of volunteering. You can find more information and sign up at jnf.org/volunteeRIL. Tomorrow, we will welcome Gil Troy and Tehran Atia from JNF-USA's Special in Uniform affiliate. For now, I will sign off until tomorrow's daily briefing at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you for joining. I'm Israel Chai.